Let's talk about Ukraine now. Since all of the headlines are about Israel these days, Vladimir Zelensky is apparently getting very desperate up there in Ukraine. Now, according to a damning new article out this week from Time Magazine, these are Time Magazine's words. According to Time Magazine, here's the front cover of this. Nobody believes in our victory like I do. Nobody. And according to Time Magazine, U.S. money is drying up. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians have been killed in NATO's war. What was Eastern Ukraine, of course, now belongs to Russia. The war is over, according to Time Magazine. And apparently everyone knows this, says Time Magazine. Everyone but Vladimir Zelensky knows this. In fact, Time Magazine paints Zelensky as delusional. We'll get to that part of the story in a moment. But first, we should point out that Time Magazine has an incredibly cozy relationship with the CIA. In fact, it's well documented, even going back to the 1970s when the New York Times blew the roof off the dump and an investigation showed it. All you need to do is even go to CIA's own website, even talks about how Time planted stories given to them by the CIA. The Cato Institute did a deep dive on this, showing that the New York Times, CBS, and Time Magazine have the three closest relationships to the intelligence community of any of the major newspapers and reporting agencies out there. Taking money and direction from the CIA is Time Magazine. So when you see a damning cover story about Zelensky in the CIA magazine, Time Magazine, it should raise some eyebrows. Why is the CIA-backed Time Magazine now painting this really grim picture of Ukraine? Is it to garner support? Or is it to lay the groundwork for something more nefarious, which we'll get to? So Time Magazine was granted unbelievable access to Zelensky's inner circle of advisors and aides, people close to him, and support in this article. And it shows an unhinged leader that is out of touch with reality. Again, this is Time Magazine saying this. So why is Time Magazine painting a damning picture of Zelensky? It's a good question, actually, because former member of the CIA, Larry Johnson, told me recently that he believes that the CIA is positioning Zelensky to be taken out. Listen.
The West has been praising Zelensky as the new Winston Churchill, which just goes to underscore the level of delusion that has possessed the West. But now you're getting in all quarters, in Washington and London, and Germany, and throughout the rest of NATO, these recriminations being expressed about Ukraine's failure to press the counteroffensive, failure to listen to the advice of the West, that they're always begging for more. So this is starting to become a more common thing. So I think the next natural step, whether the CIA does it or the CIA encourages somebody to do it, I don't think Zelensky's long for the world. He's not the kind of guy that I think is going to be allowed to go off into exile where he'll be sunning himself down in Miami Beach.
So oft killed, assassinated by these intelligence operatives. Seems like they're laying the groundwork for that. As someone in the chat just says, someone in the chat just says, Comajor says the CIA used Zelensky and is now throwing him out in the trash. Now, that's exactly what it appears like. Time Magazine says, quote, Zelensky feels betrayed by his own Western allies. His belief in Ukraine's ultimate victory over Russia worries some of his advisors. He deludes himself, a close aide says. We're out of options. We're not winning. But try telling him that. It's over. Ouch. So delusional, they say.
Like, what your first clue should have been when they kept denying you entry into NATO. Like, that should have been your first clue that you just weren't a long-term play.
Well, yeah. I mean, historically, the first clue should have been you're dealing with the U.S. Like, that right there should give you pause. Like, you really got to make sure you know what you're getting into there.
Well, historically, when Victoria Nuland comes to town, like, that should have been your first spooky alarm bell going off, that maybe this isn't going to be up to par. Using, creepy Victoria Nuland, warmongering Victoria Nuland, coup-causing Victoria Nuland, that should have been your first alarm bells. But they got in bed with the wrong person. Can you imagine being in bed with Victoria Nuland? Ooh. That'll
I hope you mean figuratively, because that'll
make you, that'll creep you out.
Thank you for that image. Thank you.
Hey, it's Halloween. I have to give you some creepy images of that. So he's delusional, according to Time magazine. Like, they can choose what they print, and they chose to print that his closest aides are calling Zelensky delusional. They printed that. So according to Time magazine, this is the same Time magazine, by the way, that named him as Person of the Year. The spirit of Ukraine. Person of the Year. Among other cover stories. How many cover stories have they given the guy? How Zelensky leads. Do you remember this effusive, loving story about how he leads his country and how he's going to lead his country to victory? I guess something changed over there.
Oh, and those were some beautiful pictures they got in his bunker. You know, those really nice photo shoots they had down there with his wife. And it was just very beautiful setup. And they really tried to,
they lit it well.
Him as this.
Beautiful cameras. Mm-hmm. It was like very soft lighting. They made it look really, really beautiful.
And the music score was beautiful.
The score. It's a magazine. There's no music. So I guess something changed over there at the CIA magazine. Time also reported that Zelensky's top advisors admit the truth about corruption in Ukraine, saying people are stealing like there's no tomorrow. People at the highest level of Ukraine's government are lining their pockets with cash, according to Time magazine, as taxpayers prepare to fund yet another year of that nation's war against Russia, an advisor to Ukrainian President Zelensky said. Time magazine published a lengthy story on Monday about reporter Simon Schuster's recent visit there to war-torn country. And he says, wow, the morale of these leading Ukraine nearly 2 years is, it's unbelievable. The insights into the morale of these leading Ukraine. According to an unnamed senior advisor to Zelensky, people at the top are stealing like there's no tomorrow. So how, as Americans watching this right now, and, members of the Europe who've sent him money as well, you got to think about all of that corruption. How does it feel to know that Americans are struggling to pay their bills, but you're sending taxpayer dollars to Ukraine, and then these corrupt politicians in Zelensky's inner circle are just lining their pockets with it, buying all sorts of luxury villas and houses and cars and boats? How does that feel? And the United States is itching to send more money, perhaps. We'll see. And also, Time reports, Time's not done. Time really dumped a whole load on this guy, and it's unbelievable. They're also reporting that Zelensky is about to fire the guys in charge of the failed counteroffensive. So Time's admitting that it's been a disaster, and they're admitting that guys are about to be fired. Claims that Ukrainian authorities are preparing to dismiss a minister and a general in charge of the counteroffensive. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson does not want money going to Ukraine. He's the new speaker, of course. And despite what Mitch McConnell wants, Turtle Boy Mitch McConnell wants $105 billion for Ukraine. And they want it for Israel and Taiwan in one big package, does Mitch McConnell. But the new Speaker of the House only wants money going to Israel. According to Punchbowl News, Mike Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, is pushing towards a vote on Thursday in the House on Israel funding alone. So just Israeli funding. This would be paid for by cutting an equal amount from the Inflation Reduction Act, which is amazing, right? So they're going to cut from the American Inflation Reduction Act and then take that money out and send it to Israel. The House GOP leadership team considering a host of bipartisan pay-fors, but opted to cut IRS money with the hopes of dividing Democrats and solidifying GOP support. So desperate people do desperate things, and I'm worried that Zelensky is going to do something desperate in Ukraine. We've already seen attacks increasing on residential areas in Donetsk over the past 24 hours. Early this morning, bombs hit apartment buildings there in what was formerly eastern Ukraine, is now Russian-controlled and officially voted to become part of Russia. So Russia considers it Russian territory. Those were bombed again overnight. Even Zelensky's admitting that, yes, in fact, they've been using American weapons to attack Crimea, as we covered in the newsletter today, which is, of course, a violation of what President Biden said. You're not allowed to do that. Use American weapons to attack Crimea. But it doesn't matter. They're doing it anyway. So what do you think is going to happen? They're fading from the headlines. The House of Representatives doesn't want to send Ukraine money. Time magazine has Zelensky on the front cover in this disastrous piece about his corruption. He's delusional. The CIA backed Time magazine.
I think we'll know when it's all over, when the article that Sean Penn went back for his Grammy. When that comes out, we'll know.
His Grammy.
It's done. Yeah.
So we'll have to see. What do you guys think is going to happen? Let us know in the comments below. What is up next for Zelensky? What is the next stage? Are we about to see some big desperate move on the part of Ukraine? Launching some sort of crazy false flag attack, something crazy? I mean, hey, what rattled the cages for the world to certainly turn all cameras and media attention towards Israel was a terror attack by Hamas in Israel. A massive attack that absolutely destroyed the Israeli military at these outposts.
Well, and he offered to attack over there, with our weapons to join, right?
He's like, wait a minute. Yeah, me attacking Russia is not really working. Maybe I'll go attack Hamas. You just give me weapons. I'll go there. I'll go to Iran. He even said, I'll go attack Iran. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.